my next segment is on map awareness, and we covered some of this because Brown had asked about how often we look at the mini map. So I'll just cover it again really quickly, and combine this with the aiming tips that I gave out earlier. But the most important thing about map awareness is knowing where your gunfights are gonna be. So if you're on P1 on Garrison, and you'll play the game enough and apply this to different maps, you'll understand where people like to go. So P1 on Garrison, for example, this is a really bad spot for that side because this is what's called a shadow spot. And if you have someone in lights about to peek you, you'll see their shadow before they come here. So this is a really easy spot to just pre-fire. You can watch their shadow in this light here. If you are on a PC, I'm not sure if console has these settings, but make sure you have like shadows turned on. I think there's actually one for
See if I can get over there.
I think there's one, I know dynamic shadows, but there might even be one for enemy shadows. I'm not sure. Maybe it's dynamic shadows. It must be. But yeah, your enemies give off shadows. Like here, like approach it slowly. See how I see his shadow right there? I know there's someone in lights about to peek this. And this is helpful in control on this map as well. There's a control point here, but they can contest you without peeking.
So you realize
Scoob,
I don't have that on.
you don't have the shadows on?
Nah.
Oh damn. Okay.
Oh, you're learning something.
You're learning. So Scuba, the question here, are you going to discuss roles and different playstyles that go into them? Yeah, I can try to talk about roles, but really quickly, yeah, I mean, if you're playing together with the team that you play with consistently, you're gonna understand like how your teammates play and what they're used to doing on every map, and what guns they're comfortable using. So just go over it quickly. There's a submachine gun role. You're usually the first one on the hill. You're sliding into gunfights. There's two flex players, which means you can play any role. You can play a sub on certain maps. Certain game modes require you to play a sub. Like I'll pull a sub out for P1 on checkmate to scrap in that plane. Even though I mainly enjoy using the AK-47 and sitting back. I also like to snipe on search and destroy, so I consider myself a flex player because I like to see what my team is doing, and then I'll fill in and just be whatever type of player they need me to be to get us to win the match. So, yeah, the three roles are sub, flex, and main AR. So it's really important if you're a main AR to anchor spawns for your team. They're gonna rely on you to be, back generator on P3 and Garrison. They're gonna rely on you to play your life and not die. Because you're the anchor. You're supposed to hold the spawns for your team. You're using an assault rifle. You're sitting on a head glitch. We call it a statue AR. You don't move. You don't need to move. But yeah, that's the main AR role. The flex role, you fill in for what your team needs. You use whatever gun on whatever map or game mode to make it easier for your team. Take some of that pressure off your subs. Your aggressive sub players who are up front. When you're playing eights with random people, just ask like, "What are you guys running?" Like at the beginning of every game, you guys all might be running some machine guns on a map like Checkmate that's AR dominant. So you want to plan that out with your team, even if you don't know who you're playing with particularly. It's important to kind of iron out those things. So thanks for the question, Scoob. I appreciate that. Mello or Bert, you have anything to add about roles?
I don't know enough to add anything good.
So with roles, when you're first starting out, you're not going to know what you are. You're not going to know what you should be doing. But definitely asking. And if you prefer to run a sub, just run the sub, ask questions how to do it. Plenty of people on our Discord especially will help you. I know Snoop asked, or will answer any question probably that you ask him.
100%.
Now, if it's 4 a.m. and we're all sleeping, maybe not right away, but someone will answer you.
I'm pumped up. I'm ready to answer any type of questions. But I hope I answered that question, Scoob. Is there any role in particular that you want advice on? What are you thinking?
I know one thing I noticed with subs is people feel like since they're the sub, they have to kill somebody and then just keep running. Really, it's more about playing your life and being that nuisance that always they have to account for where are you? where are you going to hit them on the flank, the sides. I mean, it also depends on the mode and where you're at, but if you can stay alive and just pick one off and then run away, that can do a lot more than trying to challenge for that second kill.
Yeah, yeah. Just to build off of that, if you know you're a sub player, find a pro that you really like their playstyle and just watch their perspective and learn from them. It's really hard to watch from like a COD casting perspective, like a CDL match, because they're flipping between people, they're commentating over it and they're giving good insight. But to really deeply understand a role in particular, pick a favorite player in that role. Say you're an entry sub and you're really trying to be that nuisance, like Mel had said. Watch like Pristini, one of my favorite players. I played the submachine gun almost exclusively in Modern Warfare, and Pristini was one of my favorite players last season because I just loved how dirty he played. I loved how he made it super hard on the other team to break hills, like to break spawns. He was just constantly giving them pressure. Same with Dylan on the London Royal Ravens. Like if you ever watch him play Modern Warfare, he was always getting aggressive, getting dirty. Applying that pressure, throwing smokes, throwing trophies, getting in the hill, on a flag, you name it. He did it all. Like so, players like Dylan and Pristini, if you're an entry sub, 100% recommend watching them. If you want to be a main AR, probably the best player to watch is Slasher or Octane. And if you're a flex, really what you need to understand is like how to snipe on S&D. I know a lot of main ARs will probably take the sniping role on S&D, but it really depends on the team. But some of my favorite snipers to watch are Dashy on Chicago Optic and probably Simp on Atlanta FaZe. They're just disgusting at Call of Duty. I mean, you can learn so much from watching them. But anyway, thanks for the question about the roles. I'm gonna keep it going and talking about map awareness. So yeah, like I covered before, understanding where your gunfights are gonna be. I need to die here. I want a different gun. So yeah, combining what I said earlier about centering and pre-aiming and knowing where your gunfights are going to be, like I had said earlier, like if you're coming from this side P1, you know they're either going to hit you from lights or one's going to hop up here above vents and challenge this head glitch. And if you're coming from the other side, you're going to see someone here at caution, maybe poking around caution, or maybe sitting in the cubby right there on P1. But knowing where your gunfights are going to be, this is just, it's really hard to teach when you're not playing a real league match right now. But if you just play 8s over and over again, even public matches, like you'll tend to see where people go for power positions and holding certain cutoffs. Once you hit a certain level in public matches, like people that you play against because of the matchmaking, they're gonna be in the good spots. They know how to play the game, if they've put in the time. So yeah, even playing public matches is a good way to practice knowing where people are going to go. Obviously, you won't understand the game at a deep enough level to compete in competitive matches, but it's still decent practice. So I'll go over how to practice later in a couple of different segments, but understanding where the gunfights are going to be. Also, power positions. Like up here, we call this floating tank. So you have control over top green, and you can see P5. You can see a little bit of P1. This is a very common spot to watch, like people approaching through top green. And also combining that with a different tip is knowing cutoffs. So top green is really important to have control over, especially in control and hardpoint. It's because you can watch cutoffs. So a cutoff is a route that the enemy team is going to take to get to the hill or to get to your spawn, wherever they're trying to break. So an area like top green on Garrison is going to provide you with the ability to oversee these cutoffs, like from caution to P1, or from this hangar garage area to P4. So it's just really going to take a lot of practice, and I'm not going to go through a bunch of different maps and callouts and stuff like that, but just playing the game more, you'll start to realize where you need to be to watch these cutoffs. And typically people start to rotate when there's like 20-ish seconds left on the hill. So be aware where your enemies are going to be. Use information from your teammates to figure out where to hold and which cutoffs to watch. So yeah, understanding where your gunfights are going to be on the map. Understanding the power positions on the map. And understanding the cutoffs that people take. those three things about map awareness are going to take you really far. And again, it's going to take you from that average player level to the level of play that can hang in these 8s lobbies and league matches and everything like that. So that's the end of the map awareness segment. I hope I covered enough for you. Please sound off in the chat if you want to